Okay, today I have two, but I'm probably just going to show off one at a time, but two high-class, high-end Suita. You probably realize by now I really enjoy Suita. I am a polisher and sharpener, but I do a lot of wide bevel polishing, so I appreciate the polishing stones. I prize them. So this one here is a vintage Nakayama. Very, very fine stone. I have suspicions that it's a Tenju Suita. It's a softer Nakayama because I have another Nakayama Suita, and I've tried others that are a fair bit harder and more difficult to use, and this one here is it's divine. And I praise this stone a lot. I cherish it. And this stone I just recently got is a Shohanyama Suita, high class. This came from Tushihashi-san originally, and he felt it was, in the upper echelon of stones. A fine Suita polishes to the highest polishes, and it doesn't grab iron. Neither of these grab iron. They don't gouge the work. They do a really good job polishing, at least for my bevels, and I enjoy it as well. That was a very good purchase, and I'm glad to have it. Really, both of these stones are almost identical capable polishers. This being slightly softer, it's about close to the realms of softness of this stone, as opposed to the higher hardness of Nakayama that we're usually presented with. I tend to find the vintage stones, which this came from a vendor that specializes in the older stones that have been saved. So, in private collections, or from barbers or anything like that. This one was originally mounted to a stand. I got some of the Urushi lacquer here underneath, you can see, and was used for years from a barber shop. So it is clean, super clean. I have no problems out of this stone, so I could see it being used with a razor. It's fine enough and hard enough for that. Okay, well, let's go ahead and actually work on that one, since these videos I try to be at least around 10 minutes long, and if I keep on with just one, I will never reach that point, or I will go too far. I will overshoot it. Alright, so typically Suita don't need to be started off with a Nagura polish, or Tomonagura starter for slurry, but it tends to help still. And this is a Ozuku Tomonagura, similar to the other one I showed in other videos, but sourced from A-Frames Tokyo. I'm pretty sure this surface is lapped out enough from my previous use. I'm just trying to make sure that there's no spots, which there's a couple little spots that are low. You can feel it grabbing a little bit, this Tomo. But they're not extreme enough that they're grabbing the stone and then throwing it off of this stone holder. AC unit. Alright, so I just polished this with that huge Akuto Suita. So it is appropriate to go ahead and lay a finer polish on there. Probably going to focus more on this side to show the polish than up here, but you can still see the way that the stone will react with uneven bevel. Oh, and you know what? We really don't need a slurry with this, so add a little bit of slurry, gone. See that? Almost nothing. This stone can burnish like no other if it wants to. But even this, it feels like melting butter underneath the knife, but with the texture. It's so odd, but divine. No grabbing, not even by the slight bit. It just wants to polish. And that's pure metal swerve. Now I bet you would expect that to scratch up the bevel. And with other stones that are this hard, that might be so, but not with this one. It's a magic stone. It's a Suita, but once you start working with Nakayama, even Shobu, these things get to where their hardness just, it's too much for a knife bevel. So you can find a lot of Suita from Nakayama, but only so many of them are suitable for this. And honestly, you don't use a whole lot of Suita with razors either, so those harder Nakayama Suita are almost in a, unusable, zone. It's hard to justify a Nakayama Suita that is difficult to use and scratches the bevel, when there are other options that don't. And I tend to find these vintage stones are almost always softer than their more modern counterparts. I guess the general way of this is to assume that in the beginning or earlier on they used up or prized the softer stones for most applications over the harder ones. And so the harder ones were left in their large quarried state, and until all the softer, easier, user-friendly ones were used up. And it's just the way it goes. They got the lion's share of all the good stuff early on in the day. So I tend to go after antiques. I'm about to get an antique in the mail that's just gonna knock your socks off. I can't wait to do a video of just cleaning the stamps off. I'm a sucker for stamps, especially old ones that I know aren't counterfeit, which honestly isn't really a huge deal like it's been made out to be over the years. There are instances where counterfeiting stones was used to oversell a stone, like marking a stone that's not Nakayama as a Nakayama. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot of different, mines that command such a higher price tag than the others, than Nakayama and maybe even Ohira. And even then, that's only in their Suita, And you can usually tell the difference between an Ohira Suita and any of the others. Especially an experienced polisher that's used a lot of stones. Sure, a lot are different, sure you run into one that's different than the other and all the time, and it's hard to say that they all act the same, but you kind of get used to certain attributes, certain characteristics from certain mines that, just scream at you that's where they came from. Kudo has a particular polish and feel. Nakayama has a particular polish and feel. Shobudani has a particular polish and feel. Awatani has a particular polish and feel. It takes using them a lot to pick some of those subtleties up, but once you know, then you can unleash yourself in everything, in the auctions and the private sales and the just everything. You just become an expert. Don't get duped. Get good stuff. And that's the whole point. That's collecting. That's becoming an expert in your field. So yeah, it's hard to tell what a stone is from just a picture on the internet, but I can give a pretty damn good educated guess once it's in my hands. And even online, I can do pretty good still, but once it's in my hands, once it's on the bench, once I got a knife on it, and I can compare it to my library of over 100 stones and well over 200 tried, I'll give it a good educated guess. It'll probably be pretty close. Alright. So that polish is mostly pretty good. See, if I would have created a slurry first, it would be a lot of black ink all over this thing. I could probably show that. Pretty good. Need to prepare the surface more with the diamond plate and get it a little more perfect. And of course use it on a bevel that's perfect, but it should generate even better polish. It's pretty bright polish, but it could be better. This is done on this, see this side. This side's really perfect. You just don't get some of the problems that most people run into like you do on this side. So you can see the faceting, which you usually will on a harder, finer stone, if you have faceting. But like I said, it's not much. All it takes is a little bit of love on a coarse stone and it'll be gone. But yep, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little long, and I will follow this up with the other Suita from Nakayama. Alright guys, till next time.
See ya.